Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Williamson. Maybe I sound a little different. I am in a hotel room in Lexington, Kentucky, down here with my son, who is going to be a Wildcat next year. He's here on orientation, here for 24 hours and then driving home. But I have a bunch of tidbits for you. I also am a little embarrassed of how much money I spent on bourbon last night. You know, at this insane Walmart-like superstore of bourbon. This place is crazy. It's not like buying it in PA where it's way more expensive and there's so much less to pick from. But this place is bonkers and I'm loving it. Not just the bourbon. But anyway, I have some Rodgers stuff here you're probably not going to love hearing. Now, I want to put a little bit of this in context that his season with the Jets in some ways was kind of a tale of two seasons, where the first half of the year, older guy coming off a major injury and not trusting the system or his legs, really, for that matter. And then it got better when Adams got there, but still, it was a pretty dysfunctional group and he never really trusted his protection. But some of the stuff I'm about to tell you is still scary. So he was credited with 26 big-time throws against 12 turnover-worthy plays. See, I love turnover-worthy plays much more than I do interceptions because now this is subjective, but still, turnover-worthy play means you made the right choice and it's actually happened against the Steelers. He hits somebody in stride, bounces off of them, goes up in the air, Beanie Bishop picks it off. Well, that's not a turnover-worthy play. A turnover, even though he gets credited for an interception, a turnover-worthy play is when you hit a defensive back in the numbers and he drops it, but you don't get the interception. See what I'm going with? But anyways, he had 26 big-time throws against 12 turnover-worthy plays, which was ahead of Pat Mahomes. And it was just outside the top 10 in both categories. Now, that sounds great. Super low in turnover-worthy plays, really high, or quite low in turnover-worthy plays, quite high in big-time throws. And he's always been great at both these things. However, it gets kind of downhill from there with some of the stuff I've been digging up, is almost a quarter, almost 25% of his pressured dropbacks. So when he's considered under pressure, they turned into sacks. Now, that's something that people are really starting to look at is your pressure to sack situation. Like, okay, we all understand your blocking didn't do their job. They got pressured. Now, what do? Do you take the sack as opposed to throw it away or Lamar it up and make the guy miss? Well, he was bad at that stuff. And in general, just when he was pressured, which happens pretty often throughout the course of a game for anybody, he only averaged 3.1 yards per play on all pressured dropbacks. It's pretty bad. That's concerning. So if things go awry, keep that in mind. So last year, and especially early in the year, when the pocket broke down, Rodgers broke down. And also, Bo Nix, a rookie in a Sean Payton offense that is known to check the ball down and throw to backs. Think about all the passes Kamara caught with the Saints with Payton. Only Bo Nix threw more checkdowns last year than Rodgers. Also, the deeper he got into plays, the worse he played. If things didn't go to script, if the ball didn't come out, boom, boom, boom on time, the worse he played. And that clearly was not who he was in his best time. Now, I'm not saying he can't get back to some of that. Last year might go down as his worst year ever. The injury year aside, he played 3 snaps or whatever, of course, his first year with the Jets. It was not a good situation. This is a better situation, in my opinion. This part worries me, though, and I don't know that you're going to get it back because I talk about this a lot with quarterbacking. The hardest place to thrive isn't throwing go balls. It's red zone and especially the 10 to 19 yard area. Anywhere on the field. 0 to 10 are usually pretty easy throws. 20 plus, you usually have a lot of one-on-ones. But 10-19 is crowded. And that's where the best quarterbacks year after year, and Rodgers was always at the top of this list, thrive. And from a clean pocket on those throws, his uncatchable throw rate spiked quite a bit. It went up 14% from his 2022 season. Remember, 2023 was a waste. And it's 17 points higher than his 2021 season. So he was only completing about 40% of his throws when he was deemed in a clean pocket. This was not when he was under pressure in that 10 to 19 yard area. That's going to be an area that I'm really, really interested. Now, I think you help him by getting Jonnu Smith, getting Freiermuth involved, Metcalf on crossers, maybe Ramon Wilson out of the slot, those type of things. Maybe the receivers will help that. But when that starts to go, it's hard to overcome. Now, I also think, though, what's never going to go, though, is his ability as a game manager. And I mean that as the ultimate compliment. His quick processing, certainly he has great accuracy still, even at his worst days with the Jets on the lower degree of difficulty stuff. So the tough stuff didn't go as well for him. But there are reasons why. But I'm also maybe just making excuses for a once phenomenal player that's an old man that, Father Time's undefeated. Who knows? But those are just things to look for. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days of summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything, with updated odds on MLB, UFC, and boxing, to tennis and NFL futures. BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, so we have two more podcasts after today. I am driving home from Kentucky after this conversation with you guys, picking him up at campus. One of the two is going to be a mailbag, and I'll come up with something. As you've noticed, a lot of these are just things I've found over the last couple of weeks, a bunch of tidbits rolled into one podcast. And this is something I wanted to bring up earlier, post Jonnu Smith trade. I'm intrigued with this heavy tight end usage. I mean, they're going to lead the league or be close to multiple tight ends on the field. What percentage? And I would be shocked if they're not at the top of the league again in 13 personnel. And I think Smith is a really good addition. However, I've been a little doom and gloom in this one. I apologize. But big personnel, one thing I love about the league, and like the Ravens are great about this, is the week that you get to prepare between week 13 and 14, week 2 and 3, whatever, is much less than people realize. There just isn't as many hours in a day. It's really hard to prepare for teams. And I bring up the Ravens because they're so unique with how they play offense. And I think the Steelers will present some of that too. Instead of a Ricard, they're playing 3 tight ends. The opposing defenses don't see that every week. No one sees like a fullback coming downhill old school. A lot of the linebackers don't even know how to take that on. So teams that are playing outside the box, that doesn't mean they're all going to work or they're all brilliant schemes, often present advantages. So I think this big tight end grouping is going to be physical, which we know this team stresses. It's going to be difficult to prepare for, but they can't be terrible on first downs. Cannot. If it's 2nd and 8, defenses don't care you're in 13 personnel on 3rd and longs. You know what I mean? Like, one of the interesting things to me is let's say you roll out 13 personnel with all three of those tight ends, Metcalf and Warren, as your 5 skill guys. Now, are teams just going to play their base 4-3 or 3-4 against that? Maybe. Are they going to go to nickel? Maybe. They're going to prepare for those things throughout the week. They're at least going to know what they're going to roll out there. But if it's 3rd and 8, I'm definitely going with nickel or dime. You know what I mean? Like, run the ball all you want because you guys stunk on first downs. So a lot of people have been asking me, hey, Matt, I see that you are pretty high on the Jonnu Smith pickup. Does that really lessen the need for another wide receiver? Yes, it lessens the need, but it doesn't eliminate it because inevitably you're going to be in 3rd and longs no matter what. Do we have a ton of faith that this is going to be a great first down team? I don't. I sure hope it gets better, but I don't have a ton of faith that it's going to be your bread and butter, that you're always in 2nd and 4 and just keep all those big tight ends out there. That sounds wonderful, but inevitably you're going to get a holding call. You're going to get a stuff, a drop pass on first down, bad execution. Maybe you're just not that good on first downs, which was the case recently. So this way of playing offense is really intriguing to me, but I would not be done looking for vertical weapons, more team speed, another outside receiver, obviously. Gabe Davis, okay. I mean, at least that good. Because again, you got to think about all the situations you're going to face offensively. And many of them are going to be 3rd and 6 plus, 2nd and 10. You throw the ball on first down, incomplete. All of a sudden it's 2nd and 10. All right, well, then all of a sudden you try your 13 personnel out there on 2nd and 10. All right, we'll concede that we'll let you run the ball and be physical for 5 yards. Now you're in 3rd and 5. Best of luck, So I just wanted to present that angle of this. And sorry I'm so doom and gloomy, but hey, I'm just trying to be honest and present how things can go wrong in this offense too, because it's really intriguing to me, including Rodgers. All right, everyone, over and out.